Good evening. This is the Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026 meeting of the Paxton Finance Committee. We are in the Public Safety Complex at 576 Pleasant Street here in Paxton in the training room. We are a committee of six. All six are present. 4 is a quorum. I declare we have a quorum, and we are open for business. In terms of opening the meeting, I want to just make a quick reference to the fact that the Select Board has posted a meeting for this evening as well. It is not a joint meeting per se, but as you recall, last week when we met, there were 3 members, and there could very well be 3 members from the Select Board this evening as well. It could represent a quorum. Anybody can attend any other body's meetings, but there's sometimes the limitations in terms of the discussions. Mm-hmm. So to allow for that to happen, the conventional wisdom would be to post the meeting. So that's happy to have you here and glad you did what you did, and hopefully you can participate in this evening's deliberations.
Yeah, I won't open the meeting yet, Mark, because we don't have a quorum present currently, but if and when we have a third person, then I'll go ahead and open.
Yep, good. So in keeping with tradition, I buried you guys with emails. My apologies, one at a time. I think there were 6 in total. Originally, I sent you some year-end transfers, of which there were 5, and then later on today, there was a 6th one, which included the 5 previous ones. So if we could go to those year-end transfers, I think, as you can see, an old favorite is back up on the screen right now. This is a transfer, year-end transfer request of $2,600. For those that don't know what CP Oil is, it's not a particular oil company as much as it's central purchasing oil. Transferring the $2,600 to legal services, of which that particular department, cost center, and all budgeted amounts have been exhausted, probably in more ways than one, but in terms of financially, it's been exhausted. And as is noted here, this is to pay an invoice to attorney Robert Hennigan for a resident issue. Not sure what that is, and that's not really our lane. So with that, that's the background, and if there's I'm happy to open it to discussion or to entertain a motion.
I'll move.
Motion to approve.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. For the record, the legal services budget, which was originally budgeted at $22,000 and some change, there was $1,000 and some change that was added to it with the recent last year's override. All 23 of that has been spent. There's been a reserve fund transfer of $4,225. Last week we did another transfer of about $7,000. We just did $2,600. That brings the total of that department or cost center to $37,000, with, I believe, another one en route.
Yep.
And as a footnote to that, we have budgeted $40,000 this year. So it looks like our $40,000 is a better number than last year's $22,000 was. So now we have all manner of, I believe, 5 transfers from various sources to, it says snow removal. It's actually the actual account or department cost center is snow and ice, of which snow removal is a particular account there. I don't recall, Robert, our ever doing or having to transfer to snow and ice because it was always a department that could deficit spend.
Correct.
So, and I don't believe that there's ever been in all those years, never a year where we might have deficit spent in that particular department. Not challenging the question, but in the form of a question, why then are we transferring these funds this year?
We're doing that so that we don't impact free cash for next year.
Okay, so if it was deficit spent at the end of the year, it would impact free cash.
Correct.
But if you didn't spend it in the department that you're transferring it from, then that would go into the free cash calculation as well.
Correct, but this makes for better accounting purposes and going into the year with something that isn't in a deficit.
Great.
Okay.
So this
Okay.
is definitely the preferred method.
So the first one here is a transfer in the amount of $36,000, I believe that's a 722, from health insurance premiums to snow and ice snow removal.
It's a 9.
It's a 9?
Yeah.
922. What caught my attention is that there was such a healthy balance in employee benefits health premiums, $126,000 left with 3 weeks left in the year. Good for us that that's the case. I think what happened is 48,000 got added to that budget from last year's override. So that added to this particular surplus. At the risk of being an accountant here, though, it says transferring it to account 1423-5200. I'm not sure that shouldn't be 1423, account 5130. I think it should go to overtime wages, because the balance that it's reflecting there of a negative 41,000 is the balance in overtime wages. Some might say matter of semantics, but if we're going to make a transfer, we probably want to be certain we're transferring it to the right account. I'm looking at the expenditure report that's available online. I don't know that you need to call it up, but the 41,432 deficit balance is in overtime wages, not in purchased services.
Okay.
So I think if you could look into correcting us or me, or correcting it, I think we could still vote to make a motion on it.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve if, with the addendum that it's 5130 instead of 5200 on the account.
Yep. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Passes. Next item is to transfer from regional dispatch the amount of $4,510.45, also to snow and ice removal. I would make the same point there. I believe the transfer account that it's going to should be 5130 and not 5200. But once again, with that caveat of looking into that, I think we can entertain a motion if there is one.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? None, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None abstentions? None. And this third case, $2,725.11 is being transferred from debt borrowing that has a untouched, unspent amount of $3,515 to go to account in the snow and ice, snow removal area, account 5400, which is salt and sand. Is there a motion that has, by the way, the deficit balance of the exact amount we're proposing to transfer?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, any discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. We have a fourth transfer to snow and ice, this time $11,329.38 from Veterans Benefits, which is the entire balance that is shown is the entire transfer amount. And that would go to snow and ice, snow removal, account 5800, which is equipment. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? My discussion is, just to make a point, typically equipment over $10,000, is this a single purchase of a piece of equipment?
No.
It's multiple? Okay. You know where I was going. If it's over 10, it would go before CIPC, but that's not the case. Okay. Any further discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. And the last one from Central Purchasing, diesel fuel, a transfer of $4,039.91 to the, again, the snow and ice, snow removal equipment account, having a deficit balance. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Those pass. So, congratulations. So the agenda item would now call for a presentation regarding the proposed changes to the police budget. And I had sent I think, a courtesy email to the chief to request his attendance. He declined or sent his regrets, I think is a better way of phrasing it. He is away on training out of the state, and he has a lieutenant with him. I'm assuming Lieutenant Thorpe is with him,
That's correct.
who substituted for him in a previous presentation.
Correct.
So the two that would typically appear before us are not here. They're out of state.
And this is something that,
So are you the designated hitter?
yes, I can definitely talk to the budget.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Okay, so with the budget that, sorry, I'm just gonna call it up. So with the budget that's currently being put out there, the one from FinCom for the 1284,387, which includes the additional 70K for another officer, that has since changed so that we would need an additional $50,000 to ensure that 24/7 coverage is possible. That is due to officers being on IOD, which is injured on duty. So in that case, you have to not only pay for their wages, but you have to pay for someone to backfill those positions as well. So unfortunately, in that situation, that is why there is a need for additional funds at this time. So that is where the additional request.
So, yeah, so if you scroll down the 12,000, I wish, 1,284,000.
So
That includes the $70,000 increase that we added after executive session.
correct,
So there's now another 50,000 that is not in the total,
correct,
and it's not in the text.
correct. So
of the-
that's,
Of the sheet. So where would it go in the text of this sheet?
it would go into the same line item that we did before. So it would have to go into the full-time officers.
Okay.
So that would change that number to 267.
Correct.
So explain, because I think on balance, everybody understands when,
Yep.
when somebody is out on, injured on duty. Am I correct in saying there are two?
Correct.
So to help me with the math, two are out
Yep.
and we're replacing them with $50,000?
No, so we're going to be replacing them with the 70,000 that was appropriated on top of what they originally asked for. So that would be the 120, and then the police chief is also retiring at the end of this month, and is going to be interim, and his salary will be $68,000. So that will save another approximately 70 grand to
Okay.
keep us where
So
we
let
should
me
be.
just interrupt you because you just said something about the chief retiring.
Yeah.
I was present at the select board meeting on Monday and asked to give a brief, and hopefully I was brief, recap of last week's meeting. And what I said at that meeting is, we need to begin to talk about the things that we can't talk about, because everybody in town is talking about them. So now we've got all of those out. You just mentioned a minute ago that the chief of police has submitted retirement papers.
Correct.
So he's going to be retiring effective when?
June 30th.
June 30th. And which has been a terribly poorly kept secret.
We weren't.
So I'm glad we're talking about it this evening, because it's been talked about for 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
The injured on duty has also been talked about for about 2 months. Not to the detail that maybe we're going to get to this evening, but that has been discussed. And if I'm not mistaken, one is a lieutenant and one of them is a sergeant. Am I correct in that, injured on duty?
Yes.
I believe it's Officer
No.
Bebo and Officer...
Yeah, we can't talk about their names.
Okay, so anyways, there's two. And today, there was a posting of the DPW director's position.
Correct.
Is open, which we've all heard for at least a week or 10 days, that he has resigned, not retired, but resigned, which is not the police department budget. But now we're getting to the point where we can talk about some things in the budget impact.
Correct.
So my concern is that when we met previously, the 70,000 had to do with Anna Maria College, that the 4 officers there were assisting, which I need clarification on, were assisting in the 24-hour coverage, so we needed that.
Yep.
And now I thought that the injured on duty was different than that, that the two are unrelated, and I think you just said we're going to the same line item because they are related. So can you help me clarify my sense that they weren't related and now being told that they are related?
Yeah, so the increased cost is definitely related to the IOD officers. Anna Maria College, yeah. So in the beginning, the discussion was if there was going to be extra money needed to ensure that those officers were not displaced and going on unemployment and layoffs. So that has since
Been compounded.
been compounded, yeah. But then we have also, with Anne Maria,
Yes.
so we now have agreement with them that we will get $25,000 a month to provide coverage up there, and it's paid before the month begins, and it's not the same service that it was previously.
For how long, indefinitely, or for as long as it's required?
Month to month, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
month to month.
Correct.
Okay. So and we feel badly for those that have been injured on duty, and we want to comply with the contractual obligations and wish them well, and this is not about any of that. This is
No, I understand.
balancing a budget.
Well, it's also not like a town law. It's not us
Yeah.
doing it.
Yep,
It's a
we're doing the right
MGL.
thing.
Yeah.
But how long does that continue? Are they going to be returning to service?
So
So we're doing this for a temporary period, or
We could
is
probably
it
talk
until?
about that. We could probably talk about that in executive session.
yeah, we can't speak to, we've been advised that we can't speak to when or if they would be able to return to service. What I can tell you, however, is that 111F, the MGL that's in play here, would require us to continue to pay them until they are at either a medical end result or they are retired. So that's the situation that we're in right now. It's an indefinite situation.
Okay, so to the extent, again, all executive sessions, state requirements aside, we're trying to balance the budget.
Correct.
So is this for the entire, what we're putting in here, for July 1st to June 30th? In which case,
Yes.
that could change.
It could, and it did change. Part of the reason why we had to add that request for 50,000 is because we found out that something we thought was going to change was not going to change, and so that's why that request has come in there. And it's our understanding at this point that we could go, a certain length of time in excess of this fiscal year before that changes.
In excess of this fiscal year,
Correct.
meaning the one that ends on June 30th?
And no, in excess of this one that we're budgeting for right now.
Oh, so it could go through June 30th of 2027?
Correct.
Okay. But it could change?
Possibly.
Yes. So we would be looking at something that in the abstract is not reflected on the screen, but we need to visualize that it's going to change by $50,000.
If we want to ensure that we have the appropriate level of coverage, we would need that additional $50,000.
Right.
Okay. So, not shown here, but part of the conversation last week was that part of the 50 would be subsidized by reducing unemployment compensation from 60 down to 30. How does that play out? How's the math play out there? That somebody is going to, who we were anticipating would collect unemployment, is now going to be
would no longer be in that camp.
would no longer be a candidate for unemployment.
Correct.
Okay. Is that an estimate, or is that,
That is an estimate.
okay.
Yeah.
So we don't know if it could be 50,000 or 20,000.
That's also the thing you don't know. That's just if someone was losing their job, like, because of the budget cut. We don't know if it's due to anything else. So there's a lot of variables. So it might not just be those officers using that budget line.
Right.
So that's why I don't want to take too much from there.
Yeah, and let me run for some cover here. That this is not the police department. This is what impact does this have on a budget deficit, which could lead to a possible override or cuts in other departments. So
Yep.
we're trying to look at the whole matrix here and do the right thing with the right information.
Okay.
I'm not looking for a motion on this right now. I think we want to hold it for a minute as we get deeper into some of the conversation this evening. But is there anything else that you would add other than you're verbalizing an additional $50,000 to this budget?
I do not think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you have anything you would like to
No,
contribute?
you
No?
covered it. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything? In terms of this, we could certainly come back to it a little bit later on.
Yeah, I definitely have a presentation that covers some of it as well.
Yeah.
That was also geared towards a balanced budget, so really,
Yeah.
we're crunching the numbers a lot.
Yeah, that's why I think it might be premature to make any motion or decision on this, other than
Yeah, and I
it was
thought-
on the agenda to make a
Yeah.
presentation, and I guess to that extent, you've made the presentation. So, okay.
I
I
just
think
had,
Carl had
I
something.
just had a quick question, and it kind of relates to what I'd mentioned last week, but like, what are the numbers of these individuals? So like, I see the sergeant's line. How many people is it? How many sergeants do we have? How many full-time officers? Is that one detective or two detectives?
So we would end up having 11 officers in total, but we would really only have 9
Because 2 are out.
because 2 are out, but we're still
But-
paying for 11.
But how many sergeants are we paying for?
So sergeants, yeah,
There's 3 technically right now.
well,
Well, the answer is 2, but we can't talk about the 2 because of something we just brought up earlier. The other thing is we have singular, if you scroll down, we have lieutenant singular. Am I not mistaken? There are 2, can you scroll up or down? I'm not sure which.
yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, am I mistaken? We have 2 lieutenants.
Yes,
Okay. So that's the kind of detail that drives us crazy in
Okay.
terms of, we have singular, but there's really 2. So we're looking to try to get the accuracy so Carl's good question doesn't have to be asked.
Yeah, just to address that point, there's a reason it's set that way, because only one of them is actually receiving lieutenant pay. The other one didn't receive an increase in his pay when he was promoted. He's still receiving sergeant pay, so that's why he's still on the sergeant line. It was also very recent, so.
It's still confusing. I understand the math, but it's confusing how it's presented.
okay.
Because it looks like pay scale notwithstanding, we have 1 lieutenant, we have 2. So maybe the details should be, Lieutenant 1 and Lieutenant 2, and somehow group them together, so at least we know what the core population is, because you got 6 bright people sitting around the table, and we couldn't tell you how many we have on the police force. Because on the website, there's 17. Some of which were with Anna Maria, which were really our employees, so that's 4. So you take 4 from 17, you have 13. Someone just said a minute ago, we have 11, and we have 2 out, now we're down to 9. I think we need better information in terms of what is it? What is the full complement of the police force currently? And I don't see that with this right here. I don't want to have a staring contest with you, Robert. I think I just made my point. It just seems to be that there should be more information. So I'll go a step further. All of the particular departments were supposed to have narratives to accompany theirs. That was the Finance Committee's position. You, and you have the right to do so, you made the determination that that wouldn't be necessary if it was 2.5% or below.
Correct.
The original budget was 2.5%.
Correct.
When we added 70,000, it became 8.4%. When we add 50,000, it's now going to be 12.9%, way beyond 2.5, and we still don't have a narrative. And there are other departments of the big 3, DPW, fire, and police, who were under 2.5, and they submitted very elaborate narratives. I think we're missing that with right here, because we have a single piece of paper that we looked at 4 weeks ago that now has a change that's not even reflected on the screen here. You're just telling us what it is. I think we need more and better, quite frankly, in order for us to make a decision. So I'm one member, but I'm pretty disappointed. There's a million things in there that we could pick apart. That needs to be much better, or a narrative explaining. There are 2 lieutenants, there are 2 sergeants, there are these people that came from Anna Maria who are now going to be added to this particular budget. We need to know that. It's the largest department that we have, and we have the least amount of information. I don't think that's right. So I'm having trouble with what we have, what we're hearing, and what we're going to have to vote on, and we're going to have to do something this evening because the curtain comes down tomorrow night. So anyways, that's sorry for my expressing my frustration and disappointment at the same time. So you now have, if we can shift gears, you now have a presentation that we met last week that you are going to speak to some cuts that would have to be made.
Correct.
Which we're getting ahead of ourselves, presuming that there would be an override, that we would need a contingency plan.
Correct.
So even though we don't know if we're going to have an override, and we haven't got to the screen where we're going to talk about what the number of the override, if there is going to be one, is going to be, I think we ought to entertain what your thoughts are in terms of what Plan B would be.
Okay.
You have that?
Yeah, I do. So I have a presentation on how to get to a balanced budget. So starting off, I have the budget request guidance. So like Mark alluded to earlier, we sent out a letter asking for departments to only have a maximum increase of only 2.5%, and for budgets to be kept under 2.5% when possible. We had a few exceptions to this, but they were valid reasons. They gave the narratives saying that they had a reval year, or there were several elections, or that there was subpar funding the previous year, resulting in a larger increase, or IOD officers and AMC closing require additional funds for coverage. Our deficit journey, We started off April 5th. We were at that $640,000 number. It was our initial deficit number and the reason for our override request. That had since changed on April 30th, went down to $470,000. The school budget decreased after their health care cost reduction, but after our ballot question was submitted, the override amount changed at town meeting, but could not physically be changed on the ballot question. So that was something that was an uphill battle for us. Ultimately, that override amount passed, and the Wachusett Regional School District budget also did not pass. So they came back with a reduction that brought our total deficit down to $416,000. They reduced the assessment by additional Chapter 70 funding following the rejected budget by Paxton and Rutland. And then shortly thereafter that, we got the deficit down to $386, $289 as a result of the increased receipts on the latest cherry sheet, which is the expected receipts or payables for the town from the state. So that was something that was pleasant news. Getting to a balanced budget, I really wanted to protect salaries and hours. I wanted to review the latest appropriation report, see where we had money left over, where it wasn't being spent. That could be a place that we could make a reduction. I was looking at fixed costs versus variable. So we have a lot of each in the town, and then also risk tolerance. Unfortunately, with some of these cuts, we're definitely taking on significant risk. Things broke the right way in some instances this year, so it led to greater values in some budgets. But if they don't fall the same way next year, then we could be in pretty rough shape. So starting off, I went with the select board. We were able to secure a 3-year contract with Roselli and Clark for auditing services. It will be $25,000 per year. We had $27,000 allocated, so took that down to 25. There's $2,000 in savings. My account, so I reduced training expenses, hotel mileage. I'm not taking mileage. I'm not staying in a hotel. I'm not doing things that are above and beyond the necessary trainings that I do need. I'm new to the role, so I do want to take advantage of trainings, but I don't need to take advantage of hotel stays or mileage. I was able to reduce that by $1,338, giving us $3,338. Reserve fund. So I looked at the previous years for the reserve fund. We've had varying starting points. I cut it by $20,000 down to $30,000, just based upon previous year's usage and where we currently stand with our reserve fund this year. That is definitely something that is risk tolerance, because things can definitely go sideways. Treasurer, we had a reduction in purchase services and salary amounting to $4,385, bringing our total savings up to $27,723. Legal. So I know that we talked about this a little earlier. Unfortunately, in this instance, we would reduce it down to $30,000 instead of $40,000, which was recommended by FinCom. So legal is difficult to reduce as we continuously go to reserve or year-end transfers, as this is not adequately funded. And efficient tax title is a goal of ours this year. That's something that we have our new treasurer collector is really going after tax title to make sure that we're getting all the revenue that we should be capturing as a town, and we're already seeing some gains from that. But that's something that the $6,000 line item will definitely come into play more this coming year. You guys can also stop me if you see anything.
Question. So
Yeah.
I see this, and I know we had talked about a lot of one-time expenses this year that kind of bumped legal way up.
Correct.
Now looking at the fact that you're going to be negotiating salary contracts for a police chief and a DPW superintendent, does that have an impact on the legal?
Yes, it would definitely have an impact on legal, so I would say we would be definitely up against that 30,000. And probably coming back to you with a year-end transfer again. MIS, we reduced replacement mice and monitors. We revised the Office 365 products so that the majority of employees are business or exchange versions, so that they can't even access Word or any Excel doc. It's strictly just exchange for emails. So that's something that is a small reduction on paper, but we're looking at anything that we can do to reduce those costs. So I got that down $2,950. Elections, this was something that I would propose we use the search firm article from town meeting and apply it to this budget. Because it ebbs and flows depending on how many elections there are each year. So I think that that would be an appropriate use of those $15,000. It funds our budget, and it's not something that will overinflate or negatively impact the budget the following year. So that would be my proposal for the search firm article. Police, we reduced the police chief's salary and reduced the overall number for the officers. This budget does not allow for 24/7 police coverage due to IOD officers and AMC no longer being in business. You see I have two savings there. One of them is without the overlay and one is with overlay. What I mean by that is I have approached our assessor about potentially going into the overlay account, which is used for abatements and exemptions. That's something that there's a risk tolerance there because they have to have the confidence knowing that they have enough money there to cover any abatements or exemptions that come in or potential ones that are, a legal matter. So depending on how that vote goes on June 10th, I have a savings of $60,000 if we cut $60,000 from police, or $45,000 reduction with the overlay.
So Robbie, get me through the math on that one again.
Correct.
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Yep.
So how are we getting from 55 to 100?
So I did
Those
the one
two
with
numbers.
the overlay. So I did the one with the overlay, so it's the 45K.
Okay, so what's the savings of 60,000?
That would be if the overlay does not go through, we're trying to get $25,000 from overlay. So 15 would come from police, 10 would come from fire. So it'd make up the difference if it's not there.
Okay.
That's my goal with the overlay, is to put it towards fire and the police.
Because the way that I heard it was, there's a retirement of the police chief and we're going to save $60,000 on his salary.
So, sorry, we are saving money there, but it's being reallocated into the budget. So it's not an actual savings, so I'm sorry if that was misleading.
Okay.
How does,
I just wanted to call that out, so at least we knew that the line item was shifting. That's why it has 68 there, but it has 338 for the full-time officer.
what is the actual hours impact for 24/7? It says it doesn't allow for coverage. How much do we lose?
So that would be probably, I don't think we want to give.
Yeah,
We're not going to give exact times or anything.
we
That's
don't
not
want
what
to
we're
give
asking.
exact
You know,
times or shifts for security reasons, but I can tell you it looks
Give me a
like
percentage. Do we lose a day? Do we lose a shift?
I would probably say 3.
3 shifts.
Yeah.
a week.
3 shifts a week.
Well, that's different than 24 hours being impacted 24 hours a day.
Well, it would
It
be
also says
3
we're not gonna have
on,
24/7.
it would be 3
Right.
shifts not
Yeah,
covered.
yeah, nobody's saying that it wouldn't be covered for a full 24 hours. They're just saying that we wouldn't have
We're not gonna-
full 24-hour coverage, if that makes sense.
Good.
Good.
Okay, next one, tree warden. So obviously, we've seen the substantial impact that Elise has already made in our community. She's doing a great job of getting out there. She's bringing down trees at the school, town common, and trimmed on Mower Street and at the library using the existing budget that's there. Also gone down and done a terrific job with the area that was impacted over on Nanigan and West Street neighborhoods. So she has far exceeded my expectations right out of the gate. I hate to do it to her by putting the budget back to FY '26 levels, but unfortunately that is an area that we are looking at reducing. And with the cleanup that's going to occur next week, we're going to be putting a sizable amount of money into tree removal down there. At least in that section of town. It doesn't alleviate it around the town, and we know that we could use far more money in tree removal.
I could talk 20 minutes about this one slide.
And the importance of it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I completely agree, but I'm showing that if we want to have a balanced budget, that it doesn't negatively impact our department's salary or hours-wise, this is unfortunately one of the ones where we kind of have to suck it up.
There's no salary impacted here. But
Correct.
you said this takes it back to
FY '26.
FY '26 or whatever. It might take it back to XY '15.
Well, because, yeah, it just never increased, right? So it's the same, it's just been stagnant, and unfortunately, not a lot has been happening there.
So with all of what's going on, there's not much you can do with $4,000.
Correct. So that's why the emergency declaration was made. We can deficit spend for the tree cleanup, which happened with that straight line wind event. And that's something that we have to look at doing year-end transfers to potentially cover those costs while we try to get reimbursed by our representatives through a supplemental budget. We do have MEMA helping us present that in a nicely, gift wrap presentation to them. So hopefully we will be able to recuperate some of those costs. Did you have something, Jeff?
Mark, if I may, just a question on this. Do we have an estimate, I've heard numbers, but estimate of the amount of cost from that one storm alone in the Nanigan and Black Hill Road area?
So we're still receiving bids on that, so I'd hate to give out
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but you're asking for cost of the storm in
Yeah,
total, so
yeah.
you mean like wages
Yeah.
and,
Oh,
not in
okay.
addition.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
would
if we
say-
have all that put together yet.
but I would say we're exceeding.
Tomorrow morning you'll have it?
Okay.
There we go. Thank you,
Okay.
Emergency Manager.
Not cheap is the answer.
Correct. So DPW was also an area that we were looking at reducing because we had that light equipment operator for $55,000. And then, like we said earlier, with Travis not renewing his contract, so starting July 1st, we will hopefully have a new director there. But in the meantime, we have restructured how that position is paid. So instead of like 2/3 to the town, 1/3 to water, it's now a 50-50 split. So that actually took it down from the 96,826 down to 75,000 for the town share. So that helped us save $76,000 with that department.
And the water department has agreed to that?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Hugely helpful, and a big thank you to the water department.
Yes, they have been terrific partners. Yes, Carl?
As part of that was was there a changing of the response, like rewriting the responsibilities, because it sounds like that position will have more responsibilities in water,
So-
since they're paying half of it.
So you're right. That's why it made the shift, was that he was basically doing half and half instead of 2/3, 1/3. So that's why the shift was made.
So it actually reflects better historical usage of of the superintendent.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We have more water main breaks than we have snowstorms.
The way,
We-
it certainly feels that way, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes. So for dispatch, I removed the purchase services line item of fiber optics repair for 911 Communications. This was not paid this year. So that's something that we pay for to be like first in line and have a guaranteed repair time. So that's something that I would advise not paying again next year. And again, we're just rolling the dice.
Which department is this out of?
Dispatch. So it's broken out under purchase services for $7,000. So I was recommending not paying that again. Cemetery, I reduced the purchase services based on appropriations from this year. The savings was $2,750. For the health, we removed committee compensation, and beaver removal was reduced down to $1,500 instead of the $2,500.
How did that committee
Check with the
compensation
beavers on that?
get
Sorry, I did that one today, so I apologize. It is more than the 1,500. We took 15, so yeah, we took 14, 15. 1594. Apologize for that one. That was because I changed this one today. So I took the additional money from that last line item. So Council on Aging, we reduced the newsletter postage and mileage. So the newsletter has primarily digital. There's still some residents that require and like the printed form that is sent out. And then the COA director was nice enough to reduce her outreach. So that came down to $1,106. Library, we reduced CW Mars, gutter cleaning, and books and materials. The library remains certified as the budget is above the $209,942. We saved $4,000 by reducing the library budget from $217 to $213.
So speak to a certification and accreditation
Yep.
one more time in an affirmative.
So
This
we would.
does not place that at risk? They do
Nope.
not have to request a waiver?
Correct. So we are not in any danger with this number. If we dip below 209,942, they would be in trouble, or if they were disproportionately cut
Yeah.
with other departments. And I mean, we just went through DPW that had a far larger cut than this one. Debt borrowing, I know this was something that was brought up previously, so I reduced it to $2,000 instead of the $5,000 that was appropriated. So it wasn't used in FY26, netting us $3,000 towards our deficit.
Why do you even need the 2,000?
So with the capital exclusion that we got for the DPW, I just want to ensure that if there's any money there, or if we do actually need to do a short-term loan, that we are able to put down if we need the necessary down payment or pay for closing costs. I could see that going away. I was just trying to be on the safe side with this one and not deplete it entirely. Insurance, so this was something that was brought up earlier with the year-end transfer. So we looked at taking unemployment insurance down from 70 to 40 and then reducing Medicare. So we were taking it from that line item and not health insurance, as health insurance has steadily been increasing. So that's something that we would not feel comfortable reducing further down. Central purchasing. So this one, we reduced 10 less expenses along with reducing overall costs at our other buildings. We just have to make sure that we're running efficiently, turning lights off, heats at a reasonable temperature when you leave, We don't have it at 80 degrees in here, and we can get that number down a little bit. So the savings is $20,206. It puts us at risk of running a little short on some of these items, especially if oil continues to go up or diesel. So there's definitely some concerns there. EDC, I'm sorry, Tony, but your entire budget of 250 would be eliminated in this round of cuts. So EDC would go back to zero. We would net that 250.
Let the minutes reflect, he put thumbs down.
So in the spirit of eliminating the recently given funds, Charter Review Committee would also be sacrificing their $2,000. So fire, we reduced purchase services and maintenance. Again, similar with police, I put one in there with the overlay, one would not. So if the overlay does not end up being shared with the budget, it would be $30,000 reduction. If it is, it would be a $20,000 reduction for fire, and especially because they're putting in more ambulance receipts, which we will see soon. Property insurance, we were reducing that by $12,555. That was due to not having a lot of claims, which I should be knocking on wood, and getting 10 West back onto our insurance with Maya instead of having a separate one because it was leased. So we were able to realize some savings there.
Robert, some of these numbers at the top of the screen here, some are in red.
Yeah.
Not all, but some.
Correct. So
what's the?
I did do some in red. Those are kind of like the risk tolerance
Those
ones.
soft numbers?
No, not soft, but they were more of like, hey, this one could put us at risk if things don't fall our way again. So I put some in there. I'm glad that you caught it. On to it. So
Very
thank you.
astute, yeah.
Red's usually not a good number, not a good color
Well,
with numbers.
None of these are good numbers. I don't like going in the wrong direction. So
Yeah.
Especially if it's red ink.
public building maintenance also in red because we would be reducing building repairs, HVAC repairs and maintenance, and holding tank pumping. We would be doing that. Unfortunately, the bathrooms at Town Hall would be employees only now. Just in the past month and a half, I've spent over $2,000 on bathroom repairs at the Town Hall. We can't.
Who's using the town bathroom?
My office is directly across from them. I can say a lot of people use the facilities there. Yes. Some people come in, they go in there, they go right back out. They don't even use the town hall for any other purpose. So,
Good to know.
yes. We'll look at a fee schedule for that. So snow and ice, I just wanted to point out that it's only budgeted at $1,000 more because that's the threshold for continuing to be able to deficit spend. As we saw this year, it far exceeded that, so I'm not sure if that's the correct number to be at, but I just wanted to make that known.
Can I, while we're on that, can I ask a question? So,
Sure.
looking at last year's budget, snow and ice, salt, sand, you had $130,000.
Okay.
We overspent that by $2,700.
Yep.
When I drive by, it looks like there's a massive pile of salt in that DPW shed.
Yeah.
How does that, I mean, is that, you buy a certain amount every year, is that leftover, or is that something that sits in there, or, I mean, how do you gauge that? I mean, I can drive by and see the pile. It's not like, I mean, it's a good-sized pile.
Yeah. So I know that we have a league contract, and I'm not sure if that, we have to expend it all if we're on the hook
Yep.
for a certain amount. So I apologize. I'm not.
No, I'm just wondering if it could be, you know, if that's something to say, hey, you know, we've got to serve, we have extra, we have leftover. That,
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, we're definitely not disposing of it.
I don't think it goes bad, right? It's yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be available for use next year.
Yep.
And I know that you like having the one out near.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, the pickle mix you put out is fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. I knew
But I mean,
I
just-
something funny.
I just wondered how what's left over affects what the, you know,
going into
what you
next
need for
year.
extra.
So if we can reduce, I already have so much of it.
Yeah, and I know this year you had a lot of ice events, right? The trucks were
Yeah.
out for a lot of frozen stuff. It wasn't as much, you
Yeah.
had some big snowstorms, but you had a lot of icy mornings.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that was communicated to me was that it's not even just day of the event.
Oh, right.
It's
Right.
leading up to it. They have to pre-treat, they have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough, thank you.
Yep. Ambulance receipts. Our fire chief was nice enough to say that he would bring $25,000 more in ambulance receipts to bring us to a total of $425,000 being allocated towards the budget. And that's also something that's probably, he's getting into that region of overextending with paying for ambulance, paying for a car. So it's definitely getting into that region. I'm not sure if we can tap into more there, but
So I'm glad that you have that screen, because we did mention that last week, and I think I'm probably guilty of having underplayed that, it's a generous amount at $400,000, and it seems every year that we knock on the door and ask for a little more, that the police, fire, EMS, and in particular the chief, steps up, so.
That's correct.
Glad to.
We're very
that
thankful.
screen that you're showing right there doesn't give justice to it. One year was as much as $460,000
Yeah.
in terms of really pushing the envelope, but it was the same budget situation, so kind of a unsung hero in terms of helping to balance the budget, so thank you, Chief.
Yep. And then overlay, so this is what we were talking about. Hopefully $25,000 will be added from the overlay account. The vote is to be held on June 10th at the assessors board meeting. So we're hoping that that will come through at that time.
So my concern, unless I'm got myself, I saw the overlay on 3 or 4 slides. Are we counting it more than once?
No.
Yeah.
So I just wanted, I have that here, it's counted once, and then if it doesn't go through, that's when you would put in the 25. You would put 10 additional from fire, 15 additional from police to make up the difference.
Okay.
I'll vouch for my follow that.
That's, yeah.
All right, thank you. So that brings us to $386,289, which would be a balanced budget. It just puts us in a very vulnerable position because we need things to continue the way either they were this year or improve so that we're not putting ourselves at risk of having no money in some of those accounts.
Is there a summary page?
So I do have one that I can share.
If
So,
I was going to show that at, say, town meeting, I would take out the numbers and I would put, here's what we're taking it from, here's how it affects you as the taxpayer. I mean, I thought that the format of that was good, right? Bullet by bullet, how much for each department, what it explains.
so that's how I have it just in the back of the
Yep.
Excel document.
Yep.
So I can definitely expand this and have a better narrative for town meeting.
And again, I think
For the
that,
warrant.
I mean, I think we all, this isn't what you want to have. This is what you're going to end up with if you can't get, a smaller override, but I think it explains it well.
Correct. Yep, and then we have the running total, the starting deficit, the reductions, and the new deficit. So I didn't enjoy doing it, but unfortunately it was something that needed.
So I didn't see the last slide that said no override.
Correct.
That's the takeaway conclusion.
Well, this one I was tasked with putting together a budget that wasn't contingent on an override, because on the warrant, we need 2 articles. One if we're going to have an override, one is contingent on the override, and one needs to live by itself in case it doesn't get passed, right? So that's why I was making for the no override article.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, it did until you threw the contingency word in.
Okay, so we would have two articles on the warrant. One would be contingent, town budget contingent on an override, which would not be the budget I just presented. The second one would be a budget just to approve. So we would approve the budget that is balanced at 0, and then that would be our fallback if the override doesn't pass.
If an override is voted.
If even override even happens.
Decided to have an override.
Is there money to pay for a separate election for the override?
Yes, we do have enough money right now that we could do another override. It's in the neighborhood of $4,500.
So I'm speaking personally as one member of the Finance Committee.
Yep.
Since the last meeting, and we all run in different circles, and I don't even think there's any overlap in terms of the circles and the constituencies that we hear from.
Okay.
My constituencies were overwhelmingly angrily opposed to an override.
Okay.
So the question that I have now is, if we've balanced the budget there, why would we incur the cost of a special election to have an override and to have it rejected? We have a fallback position, but I think the question would become, why would we want to do that?
Because we're not happy with the reductions or how the budget is constructed. That's why we would do the override, is so that we could get some of those budgets back to where they should be. So if we want police to be properly funded, or the fire department, or some of these other areas. So I did take it from areas that didn't impact specific departments. I don't think that the town will come out and vote heavily because central purchasing is being reduced by a significant amount, but I didn't want to reduce a library or something like that that would significantly impact our residents, our employees, and just tie that to an override just to get people out to vote. I didn't think that that was the right thing to do. So that's why I took it from an account that I have to cross my fingers that things go mild, but I would rather do that than impact the lives of our residents or our employees.
Robert, what's the compelling reason that you would put on the table that would convince somebody to come vote for an override?
My compelling reason would be for the police number.
Yeah,
Police
it impacts
department,
It impacts
the quality of life of the
correct
residents.
of the resident, because it would be the police coverage would not be around the clock anymore. So we were talking about having gaps there, and then the level of service at the town hall or in some of these other departments were eliminating a lot of their purchase services. So yes, we have the person there, but they don't potentially have the materials or training that are really needed to be successful at the position, because we're cutting them in this iteration. Again, I went to central purchasing and other departments that wouldn't impact employees, and it's not tugging on the heartstrings of residents, because I was putting that together like an override was not on the table. Because especially with Rutland. So Rutland looks like they're just going to be approving the school budget. They're not putting a contingent on an override. If they wanted to team up with us, that's what I believe they would have done. They would have put school budget contingent on an override, team up with us, have the election the same night, and then the school would have got people out to vote in favor of the override so that they can get their budget approved. That did not occur, and they are having their town meeting on the 16th. So basically what we do with the school, I think, will be decided a week before we're at town meeting, and I think that they made our decision for override a lot easier on Monday night when they deliberated about their future.
Yeah. If I may, Mark, also to address your question about why should we go forward with an override, I just don't want to assume anything about what people in town are thinking, right? I don't want to assume because I speak with this certain group that's in favor of the override that everybody's in favor of the override, and vice versa. If, Seth is talking to a different group of people and that group is not in favor of an override, I don't want to assume anything. I think that the town deserves a choice, and everybody deserves to have that same choice made rather than us dictating because of our individual circles whether or not they get that choice.
Yeah, let the voters decide.
Right.
But I agree with that. Present a very easy to understand, compelling reason why this is being presented. Can't be just, well, I think we're in a risky area. It has to be.
No, yeah,
We're losing
correct.
police service 24/7.
Yep.
That's important. They're the first to get to the scene, no matter what it is. And the cost is X
Yep.
for the override.
And I know that you did a lot of work as well with some different scenarios, so I don't want to just overtake it with my presentation because it looked like you had ones that were more geared towards a override vote and probably playing into more of, like, we could have that pivotal discussion and have those talking points to get people to vote in favor of override and supporting our budget because it is much needed and we didn't sacrifice areas. I know one of them was like stabilization, which I hope we don't have to go there, or some of these other areas that should really be a reserve and not being taken to fund the budget.
Yeah, I think what I did was a contingency to your contingency. If you didn't have something and if it didn't come to the fruition that it did, then mine was a backup plan.
Okay.
But the things that I've sent out, and some of which we talked about last week, are repurposing the TA search, that's in there, short-term borrowing, that's in there, increasing the fire and EMS to 425, that's in there, eliminating the light equipment operator, that's in there, adding to the police department for the net of 20, which is really 50, but the reduction of unemployment, that's in there. So a lot of things that are on my single sheet are in your 6 or 8 or 20 sheets up there. So I'm not going to put mine up.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of some duplication.
Okay.
So I would leave with what you have.
I do want to say that I just received your materials at, 4:30 today? So
Yeah.
it's good that we came up with similar items, correct?
Right.
So at least I'm encouraged by that we're looking at the right areas.
On the same page. Great minds.
Yeah, I'm going to stop short of great minds because you received it at 4:30 because I realized I've sent it to our committee members all during the week, and I typically CC you, and I did not. And in knowing that you put them up on the screen for us, I scrambled to get it to you. But that single page, literally, every one of them is in your page as well. So
Okay, good.
you went deeper, which I'm glad you did. We didn't quite get it to where you did, because I wasn't going to suggest that anything take place in the library or the town accountant or the treasurer. That's really your task to do, and you did it, and we appreciate it. Yeah, Seth.
Just one thing I think we should all think about, if my memory serves me correctly, there's been a few different times where the public has spoken up at our meeting. They've said that going forward with an override and then going with another override and then going with another override, it's really lost some trust in the town and how it's being managed. And I think we need to address that very carefully, especially if we're putting forward another override for this year. We don't want to degrade that further. And I think that it's something that they're already very sensitive to, at least from the feedback we've heard, all of us, in a public forum.
It was kind of the background behind my question. do we do this with an override, even though we have a perfectly good contingency plan if it fails? Why don't we just put the contingency plan in place? Julia came back and said, let the voters have a choice. Because there are going to be people that are absolutely going to be opposed to it. And there are those that are going to be enlightened by the fact that 386,000 doesn't seem that big a lift, and look what all I get in the event if I approve it. So, I'm mindful that there's a credibility issue. I'm mindful that there's an audience out there that would oppose it. Some people say you should never do an override on the back of an override that failed. But I think this is well thought out, and let's let the voters speak.
Robert, what's the minimum override needed to make the police coverage whole?
So with that 45, it's 25, we'd need about $100,000.
Okay. And I know the town approved the purchase of vehicles for the DPW.
Yep.
What was the value of that?
350.
350.
So that was a debt exclusion, and we've already made some progress there. So we have one in the works right
I know
now.
it's different, but-
Yeah, so it is definitely different, but
There's a tangible presented reason.
correct.
The town understands snow removal is something important for everybody.
Catch basin, yeah,
That's
is
part of it.
correct.
So this is, present what's needed to keep a tangible function, makes the choice easy for the voter. They know what they're choosing.
Yep.
A, it's not, or B, it is.
And that is-
Just like the DPW vote.
Yeah, and that is something that has been brought up as well, right? Because we want to make sure that people are voting for what they want. So right now, they would be accepting less than 24-hour coverage for police, and maybe they didn't know they were voting for that at the last override, so that's something that they're accepting after
And
the fact.
I'd be cautious of mixing in all kinds of other stuff that clouds that up.
Yeah.
Because then,
And that's what I didn't want to do. I wanted to make the correct cuts and not make something just to position an override look better. I didn't want to position it that way. I wanted to do what I thought was right for the town and for our budget.
I think that goes a long way toward credibility right there, honestly.
Because I could have easily just kept the money in some of these other accounts and then shorted the police and fire and library so that then we could get the override done. But I didn't want to proceed that way.
Right.
Robert, how quickly can you go to the Division of Local Services calculator and get the average single-family home cost? I'm going to predict it's going to be about $260. Don't hold me to that, by the way. The mic's on?
Can I,
Go ahead.
I don't have another number for that, by the way. The only thing, and I think Dave, am I on? I don't know.
Yes, you're-
Dave, I think you're kind of alluding to, and pardon me if I'm incorrect, a possible override solution that isn't all this, but less with only critical.
yeah.
Yeah. And
And it aligns with, let the voters decide.
Is
Make
it,
a clear choice.
Yeah.
I
That
have,
has an impact,
yeah.
and
227.
yeah. If we did 100, or are you doing
386. 386.
87?
Mark, if I could just finish my thought, I think,
Taken away from the suspense.
oh, all right.
226.45?
correct? So
226.
You were close.
I was close. I get a little credit for that.
26?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so divide by 4, so quarterly, it ends up being,
I don't know if that's close to 260, but like new math.
So
it's
But,
1 quarter off.
Yeah, no, that's right. I think what Dave was alluding to is a possible solution that isn't all this, but is an override that restores that critical police coverage frankly, it's an option. It's not an option I came up with. Somebody actually suggested, I heard it from somebody else today, that suggested that as a possible solution. My concern with this number, as far as, and I'm not taking a position for or against override at this time, but that 387 is somewhat close to 460.
Yeah.
And I would personally, if 460 didn't pass, I'd be suspect that 387 is going to pass, just my gut feeling. So there may be an opportunity here, if we're going to do an override, if an opportunity to fine-tune this. I would make one suggestion: if we do fine-tune it, and obviously I think police has come up repeatedly tonight, that we also consider Public Works. That department is a life safety department, and we're really we're on borrowed time there, both with equipment, building, and staff. So if we do a finite override, I would suggest, in my opinion, that we take a look at that as well. Thank you.
Jeff, can I just add a footnote to that? You said that 386 is close to 470. Keeping in mind that the ballot question unfortunately said 640.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And as close as
That's
we are
correct.
to this, there are a lot of people that are not as close, and they saw the 640 and
Shut it.
checked out.
And I think Carl put it really good last week. That 3 is a big deal. Having that first number.
Yeah.
It's, and again, it is close to 4, but it's 3. And again, emphasizing the fact that it's, these details are important.
Yeah. I mean, I have up on the screen 175. I don't know if that would be like restoring one of the DPW positions and the police. So you have 120, you have 55 in there. Getting that back up to 175 would be $100 a year impact. But that's all. I don't know if we're just throwing out ideas or what possibly we could do. I'm not sure, because there's definitely other stuff that should be included, but I'm not sure if we're trying to parse it down or not.
I personally, members jump in front of me, I think we need to take 2 votes. One is on the budget / contingency budget this evening, as you've just presented it. There's a lot of things in there to be okay with. There's a lot of things to be concerned with. There's a couple not to like. Trees and reserve and legal in particular, those are as low as they can go, and there's nowhere to go if something, bad goes out. The other thing is to take a vote on the school budget in terms of the revision that they made, and I would make a recommendation that we hold off and vote at town meeting, not this evening, to take a position, and let's see what Rutland's town meeting does a week before us. So I think those are the 2 votes that we need to take, and I'm suggesting that we hold one of them until the special town meeting. So, can I ask if the select board is going to take a position, or are they going to hold and wait for Rutland's special town meeting as well?
Well, so I think we have to consider whether we're making the school budget also contingent on an override. I think if you want that override to pass, you need to make everybody affected by it, right? So ideally, you take Scott Runstrom's advice and you make the school budget contingent on an override as well, and then you have the school coming out. If that warrant article is worded that way, that may change how you feel about whether you want to recommend approval or not at town meeting, aside from what Rutland chooses to do or ends up doing. And I did hear, again, my circle may not be representative of everybody in the town of Rutland, but I did hear that number was expected to fail at town meeting,
The school budget?
the school budget.
Not sure where that leaves us.
So I think we need to have a discussion about the utility of whether or not we make that school budget contingent, the school budget article contingent on an override, in addition to the town budget contingent on an override. And then we can go from there. If you want to make it contingent on an override, then the answer might be easy. If we choose to put ourselves in a position where we're either not going to have an override at all, or the override's only going to affect the town budget, that's a little bit different. I think you reduce the chances of the override passing, but also you're going to be in a position where you have to decide whether or not you're recommending approval of the school budget, period, as it's been presented.
I like them separate, which is contrary to what you just suggested. They can be coached otherwise, but I like them being separate.
So the two budgets would still be separate on the warrant in terms of the Wachusett and the town.
But that's a quick reaction by one member.
Yeah.
So I'm more than happy to go the way of the committee and hear from the committee.
The original budget that I recall came in at like 2.89% from.
2.80. Now it's 2.19.
That's 2.19. So it hypothetically is dropped below the 2.5%
Correct.
benchmark, which we are using as our benchmark across all our departments. So I think making them two separate is warranted. They did some homework. They got it down. I don't know what more you ask. Go to zero. But that's inconsistent with what we're doing. So.
But is that necessarily a decision of the Finance Committee? The Select Board's going to write the warrant article.
Correct. The warrant is the purview of the select board, but I
Right.
think it's important that this is a group decision, right? Decisions of this magnitude, I believe the town deserves to see that their leadership is cohesive. And so I would weigh very heavily how the Finance Committee feels about this. My intent tonight is to support whatever it is that you all choose to do to go forward because of that reason.
I kind of agree with what you said. We asked the school to get to 2.5, and they did. They did better. You know, like we can still nitpick, but you know, Rutland can make their own decision if they don't like the deal they got. But I don't think we should be piggybacking on that at this point. The first round, I think I felt differently because I felt there was something to give, and would have. I mean, be great to get more, but.
I just want to clarify, asking for it to be contingent on an override is not asking for that budget to be turned down. It's simply asking to raise more funds in order to support it.
Right. I know we're not asking for it to be turned down, but
So if you recommended approval, so I think what was different last meeting is that we recommended disapproval of that budget.
right.
This time around, if we decide to make it contingent on an override, that doesn't change your ability to recommend approval. In which case, you're sending the message back to the school that we like what you did, we just need more money to be able to fund everything, including our town services.
I mean, it's true.
So-
You didn't see the school in my presentation because we're not able to make a reduction there without voting. So that's why we have to impact all our services.
So at the annual town meeting, we were both asked, why do you not support it? And I'll tell you, I recall what I said, and what I said was with some input from a couple of you before I did it, so it wasn't just mine. We spoke of three things. The reason that we didn't support it. Number one was we wanted 2.5, and you gave us 2.8. Now they've given us 2.19. The second reason is you got to give us more excess and deficiency. I've exhausted everything I can say or do or shill for that, but for whatever reason, the superintendent and the VP of Finance has dug in that that's not going to happen. And the third reason is we want to support our member towns. So they gave us one of the three, and the question becomes, is that the biggest one of the three? Those getting below 2.5% get us to comply with, okay, you wanted less than 2.5%. We didn't come in at 2.49. We came in at 2.19. Somebody else will say, yeah, but you didn't make any cuts. We just lost the DPW position, but you didn't make any cuts in positions. It was just the luck of additional state aid that you gave us. So let me just finish. There are going to be people that are going to vote for the school budget regardless of cost. There's another group, and I'm not sure it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, but there's another group that are going to oppose it no matter what the number is. And we're kind of in the middle here in terms of making a decision. They did comply with one of the three big reasons, but they didn't comply with all three. So one of which is out of our control, which is support our member towns. But when we say support our member towns, 3 of the 5 voted approval for it. So I'm kind of going in a figure 8 here, but there's reasons for us to go either way. I like to vote it up or down by itself, is my personal opinion.
Yeah, I guess my question is, are we not expecting them to, like, are we going to attach an override to that every year? Like, they're going to increase, I mean, they're going to increase every year.
Oh, yeah.
Like, are we, what point do we, where's the threshold where we're not going to attach an override to it then? If we're going to do it at 19 right now, then that's an override every year? Because I doubt they're going to beat that, So I don't know what the precedent is that we're setting,
I don't think you're setting any precedent. We're addressing the budget that we have this year with the available tools, and that's the tool.
Well, it's going to be bigger next year. And
Ooh, yeah, I was just going to say, if we morph next year into this year,
yeah,
I wouldn't do that. The rumor right now is next year is 8 to 8.5%.
yeah.
So when you say we'll never see 2.9 next year, we'll never see 2.19 ever again. Next year's going to be tough. And those are the words right out of the superintendent's mouth. He said that repeatedly.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add, it's like, especially with the school budgets, I mean, it's kind of hard to try and get on, like just even worry about setting patterns and all that. Because, I mean, this board last year recommended, by the time it came out for special town meeting, it was a must-pay bill because 4 towns had approved it. But the finance committee still recommended not paying a must-pay bill. So, I mean, you can kind of just take it year to year. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
There's too many variables to say.
Yeah, I mean, next year's probably going to be completely different. So the way we vote this year, probably won't look in the rearview mirror last year. A year from now, look in the rearview mirror and be like, well, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the point last year was to, not to keep harping on it, I thought the point last year was to send a message to do better next year, which they did. So that's just, I mean, that's all I have to say about it, is I just don't, whether you think you're setting a precedent or not, you kind of are, I just don't understand the reason for attaching an override to it this year. I mean, we could attach an override we could lump every department together that's over 2.5% and attach an override to that if we wanted to. There's a lot of different ways you could look at it, but it just seems.
Well, I think you're coming from a position of expecting the override to fail, right? So if we're looking at it and expecting it to fail, then your thought process, of course, is that attaching an override to it is a no vote. It's not. Attaching an override to it simply says we need more money to be able to pay for everything so that we can have the services that everybody's used to. So if you look at it maybe a little bit more optimistically, all we're saying is what I just said, we need a little bit more money to be able to fund that in addition to funding our town services. And it's all one pot, right? And to Robert's point, we can't affect the school budget. We can only affect our own budget. So, you know, when we do pass the school budget and then attach an override to the town budget, and that doesn't pass, we're essentially cutting our town budget in favor of another department's budget, which I think becomes unfair in total, right? In the
We
long
kind of already
run.
do that with retirement, like to be fair, you know? It's,
Yeah, if I
so
can.
there's other things that impact. I don't want to keep going, I mean, that's just my opinion.
I just go back to the beginning, is the compelling argument that the average voter is going to totally get and understand that if they vote for or against, what it means is a necessary must.
And the school would be a big one in there.
That's one that's going to get people out to vote.
No, you may be right about that.
Say
The
one.
counter will be, from a superintendent point of view, we came in less than what the state allows us, the 2.5%. I don't know what you people want.
Right. No, I can see both sides of that.
Yeah, and it-
That'll confuse the.
I mean, if I could just cut in here, I mean, I think it is a tough sell. If you ask, say, hey, we need you to come in at 2.5 or less,
And you move the
you
goal.
do it, and then you move the goalpost. That is a tough, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know.
Yeah.
And you can get onto all kinds of nuances. We think they should be doing this, or I think, well, I could say that about all kinds of departments. Granted, they're the largest, but we did set a goal. They came below the goal, so I think there's that. And then instead of kind of going around and around, it may make sense in my opinion, I'm not on the finance committee any longer, but to either do a straw poll or see if there's even an appetite for an override, and then get into nuances thereof.
I would sum it up this way. I think there's a general sense to support the Wachusett Regional School budget for the principal reason you came in at 2.19.
Yeah.
And we wanted you to come in at 2.5 and below. They did it. Where I think there's a difference is whether or not we tie it into the override. That's where I think the split is. And Jeff's suggesting a straw vote, and I think the part of the straw vote is you get a sense of where we are, and I think the sense would be we probably wouldn't take an opposite position of the select board. Is that a fair way to, so it's like you decide what you want to do, we're not going to put a stake in the ground and oppose it.
Because you can see both.
Personally, I think it should be separate from the override. I'm not a political pollster lobbyist here, but I've also heard, Julia, you said you'll get more people out. Somebody else will say the more people come out, the greater the risk is of the override failing. That's one school of thought. Your school of thought might be get more people out and they'll vote in favor of it. And we could talk back and forth
Yep.
for a half hour as to neither one of us is right. I'm just saying there's those two schools of thought.
Yeah, just one, if I can add one last thing, is that we all know the general history of overrides, they're generally out of season or out of favor. They fail more often than they pass. And it seems, not advocating either way, but just worth noting that this year, if you're looking at other areas, and we already had one, they generally seem to be in trouble. So just worth noting that. For whatever the reason, the macro environment, there's a lot of talk about it, so just something to think about as you
Yeah,
make a decision.
That's
And
why
if
I
it-
don't like it tied to the override.
if we put things out on an override and it fails, then we're in no worse position than we are right now. If we don't put it out on an override, our fate is certain. We know we're going with a cut budget. If you give it a shot, you've at least got a chance of doing better, and you've given people the opportunity to voice their opinion.
Can't disagree with that.
I mean, one thing we can do, I mean, we could just take two votes. We could make a vote, we could vote on recommending approval of the Wachusett budget, one vote, recommend approval of the Wachusett budget contingent on an override. And then select board will have information for, I mean, if both of them pass, then they know that, it would go either way. And then they'd have, we'd have a recommendation out there.
If that can be done, I like it.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. To your point, Carl, just to clarify for everybody in the room to make sure that we all understand it, one would not be exclusive of the other. You could vote twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're good either way, then you'd vote yes on both of them. If you're like absolutely override, no way by itself, then you'd vote. I mean, figure you're probably gonna vote yes for at least one of them, but you might vote yes for both.
My concern was that they didn't contradict one another, and I don't think they do.
No, I don't think so.
Because it's
Yeah.
basically setting it up the same way that we have our town budget set up, right?
Right.
Contingent,
That's
not
right.
contingent.
Both options, yeah.
So I'm looking for two motions to be made. One, to accept the Wachusett Regional School District revised budget, bringing our assessment down to 2.19. And the second would be to accept that same motion contingent upon the passing of an override.
So I move that we accept, or we recommend approval of the reduced assessment budget for the Wachusett Regional School District.
Motion's been made. Second? Second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, abstentions, none. It passes. Want to make the second one, Carl?
Round two, I move that we recommend approval of the Wachusett Regional School Budget Assessment for the town of Paxton contingent on the passage of a Prop 2.5 override.
Second.
Second? Any discussion? None, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, abstentions.
I'm opposed. I'm opposed.
Hold on one second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm opposed.
No, opposed.
No.
Two opposed.
Yep.
Okay. So now is there a motion to accept the contingency budget as presented this evening by the town administrator?
So moved.
Do you have a single end page, Robert, that shows the 386 or 387? Can you go back to that?
86 total.
So I have the total here. I didn't bring it down on the actual page because I didn't want to feed everything in and remove that total out if I was changing numbers.
But just to humor me, can you go back to your last slide that you,
The overview?
yes,
So not this one.
not this one, no. Your
Presentation.
present,
Oh, sorry, the presentation.
Right.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. This one?
page before it that shows the final number. There we go.
There we go.
That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
So is there a motion to accept the contingency budget as prepared by the town administrator showing $386,289
I'll move.
savings?
I'll move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Could I just chime in just a
Yes.
second on this budget? Robert did a great job. I don't know, probably Mike. Good evening, everybody. Mike Pugitore, Fire Chief. Robert, thank you for putting this together. It was
Yeah.
quite detailed, and I appreciate it. My staff, I'm sure, appreciates the fact that we're not having a discussion about losing any positions this year, which is wonderful, the first and the last three. There are a couple of things that do concern me with the cuts.
Okay.
One of them being the regional dispatch to $7,000.
Yep.
So that is in case the fiber link between Holden Public Safety and this building go down. If that goes down, we don't have the necessary data, and we don't even have radio communications. So it's a bit concerning that it hasn't been paid this year. And I know that's probably not your fault. I think that was holdover from last year. It's something that I would strongly recommend not cutting. That is a huge insurance policy. If anybody's familiar with fiber optics and what it takes to repair these things, that ensures that we get a timely response for that. That also impacts 911 service.
But that is the only thing that it impacts. That $7,000, it guarantees that we get a repair window of a
Yes.
certain time. It does not pay for
Nope.
the actual labor, anything else.
Uh-uh.
It's strictly, it's like a fast pass at Disney World. That's
Yep.
what we're,
So what I'm stressing is
Okay.
911, emergency radio communications. If we don't have that fast
I
pass,
understand we don't want to be down for a week or,
and that fiber line runs above ground all the way from here down Route 31 to the Holden Public Safety Complex, to our regional dispatch.
yeah.
Without that, I don't even want to know what's going to happen, okay? So I strongly, that really even shouldn't be, and I'm not calling anybody out, or I'm not calling you out on that. I think you did a fantastic job going through this stuff. That really shouldn't even be in discussion or in play. My personal opinion as the fire chief, my professional opinion, to be honest with you, as a fire chief and someone who does deal with our regional dispatch on a daily basis, and who also set everything up for that move to the regional dispatch. And the other thing is, I know we have a lot of things to work through, and I don't want to put any chinks in the armor here, but just so we know, I know we had a discussion about 24-hour police service. With this budget, and I've talked to Robert too, and I appreciate the $30,000 reduction. That's mainly to my purchase services, which was already underfunded. So after the override this past year, we got it back up to $75,000. I've already spent $84,000 out of it. I had to come back to reserve for 9 for a big repair. Over the last 6 years as chief, I've made huge strides in reducing our capital footprint in this department. We run the bare minimum for apparatus. I just want to stress the importance that that $30,000 keeps this equipment running. Without that $30,000, there is a good chance that I'll have to shut trucks down that need major repairs. Which brings me to my third point, the reserve fund. I'm going to be honest with you, when we're staring down big cuts, we really shouldn't touch the reserve fund. If anything, that fund should be probably around $100,000 in my personal opinion when we start cutting things, because that is our life net. As someone who does frequent the reserve fund every now and again, to keep this town running, I think 50,000 isn't a huge ask. That's just my personal and professional opinion again. So those are the three things I'd like maybe for you guys to just consider as you look over this. I know it's a lot of work that has to get done in a short amount of time, and maybe the cuts are the way to go, and then maybe we look back at it at a special town meeting in November, and maybe we can throw a little free cash at it or stabilization money, but just something to consider before you do take a vote on this. That's all. And
All right.
I don't want to take it, like I said, great job.
Thanks.
That was super impressive, so thank you.
And just for the record, I'm hoping that it's only 20,000 because of the overlay.
Well, that would
It would complicate.
continue the discussion, I guess. I don't want to, when it was at $7,000, I was going to say,
Yeah,
Robert, contingent to this motion, go find another 7,000 somewhere else.
correct.
Yeah. But now it's added to that
Reserve.
by 30.
Well, yeah, it'd be
And
20.
now he's speaking to the reserve fund, which was the first item on my particular item that I didn't like. Here's the deal, your history analysis of it is correct.
Yeah,
We've spent around $34,000, and it's been budgeted at $40,000 and $50,000.
yeah,
But we keep waiting for that disaster to walk through the door where we're going to need that $50,000. And we talk about it every year, and it hasn't happened. But now that we cut it, could very well be the year that it happens. So I like the ending conversation, and that is, let's get this passed, and let's take a look at free cash and stabilization maybe in the fall of 2026 to Band-Aid some of this together. Otherwise, you add back
the $7,000.
$7,000, and we're right back at that
Yeah, we're right.
it's like a three-foot putt, kind of they call it in the throw-up area, where it's now we're really in a
But
tough
I would
spot.
definitely like to put back the 7K after hearing that argument or compelling case from Mike for the Phoenix contract.
So putting it back, but,
I would have to adjust elsewhere, correct?
so you would, to leave the 386 to be the number.
Correct, yeah. So we would have a balanced budget if you would give me some leeway there to find the appropriate place for that 7K.
That's why I wanted to have the conversation. We would make the motion contingent upon you tweaking it a little bit. We saw it for the first time.
Correct.
You may need to run interference a little bit deeper and further with some of the department heads.
Yep.
But that's the number. For you to find $7,000, somewhere else.
And not substantially impact somewhere else where you guys would then go, hey, I didn't know you were cutting the library another $7,000. I wouldn't do something like that that would substantially impact your vote or, opinion towards the budget.
Yeah, I mean, an easy source is to go to the reserve fund. And now we're even in a more perilous low
Yeah.
Correct.
budget.
Yeah, I'm not cutting that.
Right.
Yeah.
Or legal, and I'm going to say, I'm not going to listen to the select board one more minute about cutting legal, or cutting trees down to zero. I mean, there's
Yeah,
some
we're not
easy
doing-
targets that make no sense.
Yeah.
So,
I think I know
Sorry,
the answer
Tony.
to this, but I just want to ask it so it's out there. So it's first of all, thanks for the info on that, because I didn't realize how critical that was. But there's a bill out there that just hasn't been paid, right? Is there a situation? It's a kind of a contingency if this happens.
Correct.
Is there a way you don't do the 7,000 now, but a week from now that happens, we can find the 7,000, pay the bill, and restore the service, like I do with some things in my life where my AAA membership, good example.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
So unfortunately, yeah, it's not like we can
Okay.
turn on the AAA card.
I just want to make that
when we have
in
that
case somebody
black
asks
wire.
that, wonders about that. So we can't pay it at the time it happens, and we need
Yeah.
to figure it out now. Okay.
It was definitely a good question.
It's not a service that AAA offers,
No.
because that'd be convenient.
so can the motion be modified with a friendly amendment that it would be the contingency based on the town administrator's presentation at $386,000, $289, but that there would be certain tweaking to it, but not to exceed $386,289. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is that in the form of a motion? I'll make that in the form of a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second? Any discussion? None, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Final thing is the Select Board is meeting tomorrow night because the warrant articles need to be closed by Monday at 5 o'clock.
Correct.
And they couldn't schedule a meeting on Friday. So I have posted a meeting for the Finance Committee. If anybody wants to join and wants to participate in the discussion. It's not mandatory. I don't think we'll be taking any votes, but I didn't want somebody to be precluded from attending. It's Thursday evening, tomorrow night, here at 5 o'clock.
Correct.
But there is also a Zoom link for those that want to Zoom in.
Shouldn't we talk about override for the town budget?
That's what I was just going to say.
Because we did the version for the school, but we neglected to do the version for the town budget. So we approved the balanced budget, but that's our contingency plan, correct? If we're doing override, that was our contingency that we would default back to this if we didn't get our override funds.
So the override motion would be for $386,289, unless somebody wants to round up or round down, and I would advise against that, quite frankly.
Every penny of that is needed, and you can provide a compelling case why it's needed. That would be understandable to the voters.
Yeah.
We talked about the three shifts of the police officers.
Correct.
And restoring that.
Yeah.
Is that all 386,000?
No, it is not.
Okay, then what? Then what's next? The fiber?
Yep.
That's a compelling case.
So fiber, we also have the trees, we have legal, we have reserve. DPW is a huge one.
Adding the position back.
Yeah.
Adding position back, getting properly staffed there, and then restoring purchase services in the multiple
I
departments.
would sharpen the pencil and be very simple but direct on what this is funding.
Yeah.
Why it's needed.
A yes vote
And
gets
what-
you this.
And and in the wording that people will easily relate to what will be missing if it's not voted.
Yep. No, thank you, I
And your
appreciate that.
presentation was spot on, like,
Yeah.
format-wise. I mean, again, a slide that, like David said, here's what we're doing, here's what you get, here's what you lose.
It's not too much
Yeah.
either.
It's not too much. I think you could probably do away with the columns and the little numbers, you know, your individual line items.
Yeah, I just
Give
wanted to-
everybody a 30,000-foot view and say, here's how much we're cutting, and this is what you get cut.
Yeah.
Less is more.
I'm just going to say, going back to last year, like two things. One with it's your decision at the end of the day, but with the policing, I thought it was a good thing that came up today when you get two sides of that argument. When you say 24/7 coverage, right away you're going to get the people saying it's fearmonger. You know, I think
Right.
it's good to explain it like you guys did today. Like, to me, 3 shifts is daunting still. Like, you know, I have to vote. Like, I think you should put it out there that way so that cuts so people aren't making their own assumptions. And then the only thing I want to add is last year, and maybe it's just my perception, this was an extremely contentious process for
Yes.
some reason. I'm old, I don't remember exactly why, but I think a lot of that actually led to the credibility issues too. We were very different sides of the table in that lack of agreement. It just hasn't been like that this year. I think
No.
that there's a compelling argument just in how this has all gone. I think, you know, there's a few little things, to your point, you can sharpen the pencil and make it better, but we're, you know, I just think like it's more understandable, it's more relatable, it's clearer. So I don't know, I feel better about it, a lot better than I did last year.
Yes.
I understand it better myself, so.
And I think people are more likely, thank you, Tony, are more likely to support if they know what they're getting, like the DPW trucks 350 passed.
Yeah.
Because they can, I'm getting this for the 350.
Yeah.
And I think that's what has to be done.
Differentiating the difference between a need and a want.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, this isn't a want. This is a need. You know, I mean, 3 shifts a week is 14% of your, losing 14% of your police coverage in a 7-day week, right? It's 20
Basically
shifts.
1 day a week,
1 day a week.
There's
1 day out of 7.
no one home.
You know, this isn't, hey, we'd like to have. This is, you need to have this to be a functioning town.
Yeah.
Like David said, this is required. I think it sells itself if you do it this way. That's just my 2 cents.
I need a motion.
Move to recommend approval of the budget as presented by the town administrator, contingent on the passage of a Prop 2.5 override for the amount of $386,289.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and second. Any discussion?
Would I have to change and reduce that back out those numbers though, right? So it's not as presented? Because I would have to back out those numbers to have that deficit to fill back in by the override. Sorry if that's just like a clerical clarification, but so easy there, or am I making something out of nothing?
I'm not following you. I don't know if
I
anybody
just
else
didn't
is.
know because you said as presented by the town administrator, so mine is a balanced budget.
Or,
I
sorry,
didn't know.
I guess I should have said the prior budget, like,
Okay, yeah. So the one that shows the $386,000 deficit before we balanced it.
correct.
So sorry, that's all I was at.
Starting budget, I don't,
Yeah.
I just didn't know if we needed that for clerical reasons. So I just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
good pickup by you, and Carl is spot on. We're not talking about what's here, we're talking about the budget before we got here, so we're good.
Okay. Thank you.
Motion been made and it's been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I just, one further discussion. We had the discussion about being very clear on the specific things that you
Yes.
won't get. And you went through every item that adds up to 386.
Correct.
Is that true for all those items? Every single one?
What do you mean?
That you make-
What do you mean by is it true?
Compelling argument can be made to say, without this, you're not getting this, and this is what it means to you. Because if it isn't, I suggest.
Well, I
go
think
back
that
and
if
sharpen
I could add to that, David, there's some highlights to this. I'm making this up, but town clerk having their supplies budget cut by $500 is not compelling.
Yeah.
But it's what he needed to get to the 386,289.
That's right.
So there's some highlights that are compelling, but there are some ancillary items that are not as compelling, but not as harmful in terms of their being cut.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're saying the EDC is not compelling? I know where you parked. But no, there are some like that, like that's not, I get your point, they're not, but they're definitely, there's a 75% of them contribute to the compelling argument, the rest are kind of, had to get to the number.
Yeah.
Challenging the team with the question.
No, it's a good question, it's a good
Yep,
point.
yeah, there's two sides to that coin.
If we're not challenged
Yeah.
with that question, then
Yep.
why do we expect the voters to
Agreed.
vote for this?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep, yep,
Right.
yep.
But I think the very good point aside, that's really another charge to the town administrator and the select board and us as a group is let's get a good presentation that sends a message better than and clearer than we've done previously.
Agreed.
Correct.
And addresses some of the questions that we heard at the last meeting, because I think those questions are all valid. And, you know, the public deserves to hear the answers to them. So.
So motion's been made and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. I think we stand adjourned. Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there any old business, new business?
I just have one question. Percentage to the average home, to the percentage increase in taxes.
Percentage increase, I think
With this type-
$224?
I'm calling it back up right now.
226.
226, sorry. And again, that's a great figure and a great tool.
Right.
part of selling this is, I mean, yes, it's crucial to the town, but also the fact that it's going to cost the average person 61 cents a day. It's a, you know, I mean, again,
With
Huh?
a 2.5% increase, how much does it add to our town?
That's a good point.
So,
That's relatable to the average person.
Yep, it
Like
is.
Proposition 2.5 says X dollars or X coming, or being.
so what was our 2.5 levy this year?
What's my average home going up in taxes with a 2.5% increase, and then what's my average home going up in taxes with this increase?
so there's a problem with the logic on that. And the reason is that your taxes for your individual home aren't going up by 2.5% every year. They vary from that because of the valuation of the home.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the law allows for the town to increase the levy by 2.5%. All other factors aside, that's the reality that everybody faces in aggregate eventually. Right?
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's, we
very
go through the history and
because
it's show it to you.
So that's what, like, the reval's happening right now.
But that's
So,
the average person's thinking, 2.5% is,
but if you go back and look at, like, the value of your home and what you paid in taxes, not always the 2.5% because it fluctuates depending on the assessed values. And then if all the assessed values are going up, that tax rate then decreases, so then it's not adversely affecting people. So it's not like a straight 2.5 across the board for everyone.
Right.
And I know with the reval year, that will also help with the disproportionate.
I'm not buying it. I don't think anyone else will. 2.5% is the law. They're just in an average world. I'm paying $1,000, I'm going to add 2.5% to that next year. I accept that, that's the law. Now, the town's asking for more.
Yeah.
How much more is that? Is that 1% or is that 4%?
Of what it ends up being.
4%
Yeah.
additional.
Yes, so I mean, I think you make a fair point that if you think
I
it's
just wanna know
2.5.
what the number is.
Then you could be lower, you could be higher than that. I'm not saying that.
But with the 386 override we're asking here,
Yeah.
what percentage will that add to the average home in addition to the already 2.5%?
I have seen that question.
This is the
It does
Right
come up
there, if you look at
often.
those
This is the
numbers,
kitchen table discussion.
it's about
We have to be clear.
2.8%.
2.8%.
right there. So if you look at, say, the estimated tax bill impact versus what your current estimated bill was, those are roughly 2.8%.
So we're asking the.
At every denomination.
Right, so we're asking the average homeowner to not only fork up the 2.5, but in addition, another 2.8%. So it's a 5% tax year. I just want to be clear on that. Because if they don't get the answer, they won't vote for it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Motion to adjourn. Move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Any discussion? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. We stand adjourned.
That was a great 2 hours.
Good job.